All right, let's just jump right into it. Today, we're diving into a really comprehensive, science-backed explainer all about fenugreek. We are completely skipping past the usual internet hype today to look at the actual hard biochemical mechanisms of this remarkably potent herb. We'll look at its athletic applications and, honestly, most importantly, the vital safety protocols you absolutely need to know. Because whether you're an athlete trying to optimize your recovery or maybe you're just someone curious about natural supplements, knowing exactly how to handle this powerful plant is just absolutely essential. Now, really quick before we get into the weeds, I do have to state that this explainer is strictly for knowledge and awareness purposes only. You really must always consult a medical practitioner before making any individual dietary changes or throwing new herbal supplements into your routine. Because, as we're about to see, fenugreek is definitely not just some simple culinary spice you toss in a soup. It is a highly potent physiological modulator that has very real, measurable effects on your blood chemistry. So, here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with the actual science of soaking the seeds. Then we'll move through how it impacts athletic endurance and digestive tract health. And finally, we'll wrap up with those super important dosage guidelines and contraindications. Okay, let's get into our first topic, the science of soaking. So in their raw state, fenugreek seeds are incredibly dense and basically packed with what we call antinutrients, specifically things like phytic acid and tannins. You can kind of think of these like little chemical cages. They essentially lock up and bind to essential divalent minerals like iron, zinc, and calcium, which means your body just can't absorb them. But if you simply soak the seeds in water overnight, it changes everything. It actually kicks off a pre-germination sequence that activates a specific enzyme called phytase. And this enzyme acts literally like a key, breaking apart those chemical cages, destroying the antinutrients, and liberating those critical minerals so your body can actually use them. And get this, research shows that just by soaking and germinating the seeds, you can slash that mineral-blocking phytic acid by over 54%, and tannins drop by over 66%. It's wild. Just by using water and a little bit of time, you transform this tightly locked, defensive little seed into a highly bioavailable nutritional powerhouse, completely ready to deliver iron for oxygen transport and magnesium for ATP synthesis. Moving right along to our second section, athletic endurance and recovery. So if you're an aerobic athlete, say going for a long, low-intensity run, fenugreek creates this truly remarkable glycogen-sparing effect. Studies actually show that the compounds in fenugreek increase the oxidation of free fatty acids floating around in your bloodstream. Basically, it encourages your body to burn fat for fuel for a much longer period, which delays the point where you have to rely on anaerobic glycolysis. And the so what here is that this ultimately elevates your ventilatory threshold. You can sustain a significantly faster pace for much longer before you have to dip into your precious, limited carbohydrate stores and start building up all those fatigue-inducing metabolic byproducts. But honestly, the post-workout recovery phase is where the data kind of made my jaw drop. In a double-blind, randomized trial, trained male cyclists were given a simple glucose beverage, combined with fenugreek extract immediately after finishing their exercise. The result? A staggering 63% acceleration in the rate of their muscle glycogen resynthesis when compared to just drinking the glucose alone. I mean, that is a massive recovery advantage for any athlete pushing through high-volume training blocks. Okay, so how exactly is it doing that? The secret behind that 63% boost comes down to a really unique amino acid naturally found in fenugreek called 4-hydroxyisoleucine, or 4-HI for short. During those trials, they used a very precise dosage of 2.0 milligrams of 4-HI per kilogram of body weight, right alongside the glucose. And 4-HI essentially acts as an insulinotropic secretagogue. That's a fancy way of saying it directly stimulates your peripheral skeletal muscle cells, specifically by accelerating what's called the GLUT4 glucose transporter. So it rapidly drives the glucose straight into your muscle cells to rebuild those glycogen stores. And it does it super efficiently without you needing to consume massive stomach-aching amounts of carbohydrates. Hey, for the strength athletes listening, active compounds in fenugreek, like steroidal saponins, have actually been shown to help boost free testosterone levels. Plus, remember that 4-HI amino acid we just talked about? Well, when you combine it with creatine, it significantly enhances how well your muscles can transport and accumulate that creatine. So working together, these mechanisms actively support genuine, measurable increases in your lean body mass and overall muscular strength. All right, let's shift gears to Section 3. Soothing the digestive tract. What you're looking at right now is the molecular structure of galactomannan. This is a highly potent, water-soluble dietary fiber that actually makes up a huge percentage of the fenugreek seed itself. When you hydrate these seeds during that overnight soaking process we talked about, this specific fiber swells up extensively, and it forms this very thick, viscous, mucilaginous gel. So, when you wake up and consume those soaked seeds along with their water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, that viscous gel literally coats the inside of your stomach lining and your duodenum. It acts as an incredibly effective physical protective barrier. It physically slows down gastric emptying, it neutralizes excess gastric acid, and it provides some serious soothing relief from things like inflammation, gastritis, and acid reflux. It actually performs in a way that's surprisingly comparable to a lot of over-the-counter antacid medications. Which brings us to a really critical part, Section 4, Dosage and Workout Guidelines. To actually get these physiological benefits safely, your dosing has to be on point. The maximum safe oral consumption limit is generally established at 50 milligrams of fenugreek seeds per kilogram of your body weight, daily. Now, while it's fantastic for aerobic threshold training and making strength gains, you absolutely have to notice the stark warning here. Because fenugreek contains that 4-HI, which again is an insulin secretagogue that actively lowers your blood sugar. High-intensity athletes who are working out in a completely fasted state face a very severe risk. If you take fenugreek right before an intense, fasted morning sprint session, it could cause sudden, dangerous hypoglycemia. We're talking crashing your blood sugar to the point of severe dizziness or even fainting. So be smart about your timing. Now, this brings up a super important safety question about how you prepare this stuff. Who actually needs to toss out that water you soak the seeds in overnight rather than drinking it? Well, according to the clinical phytotherapeutic evaluation of fenugreek, that overnight soaking process actually leaches out these highly soluble phytochemicals called coumarins straight into the water. And coumarins are tricky. They actively antagonize vitamin K in your body. This basically disrupts your normal coagulation pathways and prolongs your blood clotting time. So if you are someone who is at any risk of bleeding, tossing out that infused water removes a massive portion of those free, highly bioavailable coumarins, significantly lowering your risk. If that's you, just consuming the seeds themselves provides a much safer, significantly lower dose. Let's expand on that in Section 5, Contraindications and Drug Interactions. Because fenugreek actively messes with your hormones and your glucose levels, it is strictly contraindicated for a few specific groups. Pregnant women absolutely must avoid therapeutic doses because the compounds in fenugreek have actually been shown to stimulate uterine contractions. It's also really not recommended for children. And tying back to what we just discussed about coumarins and vitamin K, anyone with a bleeding disorder or anyone taking blood-thinning medications needs to avoid it entirely because of that prolonged clotting time. Furthermore, if you are currently taking any prescription medications for diabetes, you have got to be hypervigilant. If you combine medical-grade diabetes pharmaceuticals with the blood sugar-lowering mechanisms of fenugreek-soluble fiber and that 4-HI amino acid, you can dangerously compound the effects and completely crash your blood sugar. On top of that, fenugreek can actually alter the hepatic clearance, basically how your liver processes things, of antihypertensive medications like losartan. That can potentially leave way too much of the drug lingering in your system. So long story short, you must seek strict medical supervision before you even think about combining these. All right, we really hope this explainer has empowered you with the true science and the strict safety protocols you need to navigate herbal supplementation safely and responsibly. If you found this information valuable today, please go ahead and hit that like button, share this explainer with an athlete or a health-conscious friend, and subscribe to the channel for more evidence-based explainers. I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. As modern science continues to uncover the really potent pharmacological power of ancient herbs like fenugreek, are we finally moving past the era of purely synthetic supplements? Or does the raw, unchecked power of nature require way more respect and maybe even regulation than we're currently giving it? Think about that for a bit, and we'll see you next time.